So my name is Zac Oesterle. I'm one of the certified arborists at Timberline Professional Tree Care. We're on site at Creve Coeur Park, which is a part of St. Louis County Park System here in St. Louis, Missouri. The job that we're filming today is actually a large red oak removal. That is one of the most technical jobs that we've done in some time. I'll go into some of the technicalities and confounding factors in a little bit, but just to give you a little bit of a backstory on this tree was actually part of a larger block of removals that we were contracted to do for St. Louis County Park System. This tree itself was kind of picked out from EJ's perspective. He's our lead production climber, as being kind of like a special case. It was a special case because it's got a lot of baggage. He determined that the tree itself was unsafe to climb, and so after some consulting with St. Louis County Parks, they kind of had some in-house plans that they had discussed. Those plans weren't followed through with, as far as they weren't going to be safe to execute. So then the tree actually went out to bid on the open market. We were a company that got to bid on the tree, and believe it or not, around 5-6 months later, we were actually granted the contract to remove this tree. So what makes this tree so technical is actually the hazard and some of the confounding factors involved with this tree. So being that trees are wild organisms and we use their structure to climb them and to rig off them to remove them, they are subject to chaos and entropy. So some of that chaos, it actually confounds our work because it acts on the tree in ways that can be unpredictable and can be very difficult to quantify. So this oak, for instance, some of the baggage that it has, you can't really see from the footage here, but you will be in some of the other footage that we're going to take. It actually has a number of vertical cracks. The vertical cracks, we can't really ascertain the depth of those, but from the vertical cracks, we can tell that the tree is actually under a lot of torsional force right now. It's under a lot of torsional pressure, and that's just due to, you know, how the weight of the canopy is kind of situated, how the tree reacts to force from wind and other environmental factors. In addition to the vertical cracks that are along the trunk of the tree, further up in the crown, at about probably midway up, the tree is actually perforated clean through from a couple different planes. You can actually see straight through the tree. You can see daylight. And as we, climb trees, as a climber, whenever you're looking at that, you actually want to tie in, higher. You want to tie in above that so you have a good lever point, to work off of, and it's easier to just work the tree's mass from that high tie-in point. Tying in above the area of this particular oak that's been perforated, it's got huge pockets of decay in it. It would just be way too hazardous. And as we add the confounding factors or the defects of the vertical cracks in the trunk, the perforations further up in the crown, and there's actually also pockets beneath some of the buttress roots. With all of those confounding factors, it makes it harder for us as arborists to determine that the tree is predictable and that the tree is going to behave in a predictable way. So then we reach the point of determining, okay, can we even safely climb this tree? Obviously for this tree, we determined it's not safe to climb. So then we have to go back to square one and come up with a workable plan that's gonna keep everybody safe. This particular tree is situated on a hillside overlooking a road that services around 9,000 cars every single day. On the opposite side of that 2-lane road is high voltage wires. If this tree does decide to fail, which it actually is considered to be actively failing right now. It's failing slowly, but it is actively failing. If the tree fails, the lean can take that tree over the road into the high voltage wires. So that poses an unacceptable potential of risk and hazard to the public, to infrastructure, and obviously to ourselves, the ground crew and the tree crew who's going to be working this tree. So as far as the tree itself is concerned, we've kind of, as arborists, taken our risk assessment matrix, we've put it against this tree, and with all those confounding factors, the more factors that we put against it, the further outside the realm of our understanding went this tree, essentially. So we decided that the best way to work the tree would be to hire a crane. The crane provides us a nice central high tie-in point. It provides us a guaranteed rating. We know that the crane can hold so much weight, and we know that our climber will be safe off of the crane, a lot safer than he will be tying into the tree itself. In a typical tree removal, we use a number of things, a number of tools kind of specific to tree work to help us dismantle the trees that we're working on. Those tools include ropes, blocks, pulleys, friction brakes, etc., etc. This tree itself, we're actually not going to be rigging at all. The plan that EJ came up with was to free fall, just free cut every single piece, which thankfully the lay or the work zone surrounding the tree accommodates just being able to just free drop every single piece. It makes it a lot safer for us as well, because typically, like I said earlier, we like to use the tree structure to rig off of, but being that this tree is so hazardous, it's perforated with so many defects, it's just not safe even as a rigging point either. So being that we have removed the rigging potential off of this tree and we're just going to be free falling all of the material, that increases a controllable facet of this job. It increases the safety of our job site, and it increases mostly the safety on the climber who's going to be at height working the tree, and it obviously increases safety for the ground crew as well. So you can see this tree behind me. One of the forces that is, acting on the failing parts of this tree is how the weight or the mass of the organism is just kind of situated. You can see the tree itself has a very pronounced lean to it. So that lean is pulling against the tree. So if you see at the tree, looking at the tree, the left side of the tree is considered the compression side of the tree. The right side of the tree, we consider that rather the tension side of the tree. So the tension side is being pulled apart, whereas on the left side of the tree, it's compression. So it's being pushed down. One of the factors that we considered when we first assessed this tree, we were trying to see how the tree was actively responding. Now, it's easier to do that with trees that are living as opposed to trees that are dying, because with a living organism, you can actually see growth plates in the tree. You can see where the tree still has life, what is green wood, and what is actually dead wood. So obviously you can see this tree is still completely alive, but again, it's actively failing. So being that it is actively failing and it is alive, we were able to look at the trunk of the tree, and between some of the panels of bark, there were growth plates. And the growth plates on the tree, they kind of appear pink to kind of tan in color. On the compression side, the tree is actually putting on, fresh growth plates. On the tension side, or the right side of the tree, you actually don't see any new growth whatsoever. So a lot of that backside of the tree has become inactive, and the tree itself is feeling a lot of that force, a lot of the force and the weight of the crown pushing down on the compression side or the left side of the trunk of the tree. I mentioned earlier there were some pockets of, there were hollow spots underneath some of the buttress roots in this tree. There was also some cavities that we found down there, and those also just kind of led to more defects, which as that list got longer and longer, again, we just determined we felt more sound in deeming this tree unsafe to climb and unsafe to work by traditional methods. So that's what's led us to today. You can see in the background the crane's actually getting set up, and in short order, we're gonna begin working the tree. So if you're watching this video, I want to reiterate that this video is not a substitute for face-to-face appropriate training. in the tree care industry. This video is not a substitute. It's not, this is not training material. So if you're using this video as kind of training material, this video is not intended for that purpose. So, and aside from that, thank you so much for watching.
Cool.